While playing by the river, Nobi accidentally photographed a Japanese river otter. This was a huge discovery. After all, the Japanese river otter had been extinct for 30 years. Sneech immediately planned to contact a TV station to investigate, to verify if the otter in the photo was real. Nobi and Doraemon took the time machine back to the past, but upon arrival, an otter unexpectedly darted into the time machine entrance. They chased it right into another timeline. As they searched, they heard another Nobi's voice. They followed the sound and realized they were in the previous day. The otter Nobi had photographed was the very one that slipped into the time machine. To find the otter quickly, Doraemon and Nobi used a gadget to disguise themselves as otters. It didn't take long before they spotted their target, but just as they were about to send the otter back, another otter suddenly appeared. They chased after it and unexpectedly found the otter's den. As they pondered, a cry for help rang out. Nobi rushed over and saw an otter drowning. Without hesitation, Nobi jumped in, but he forgot he couldn't swim, and both nearly drowned. Luckily, Doraemon quickly saved them with a gadget. After Doraemon treated the injured otter, another otter showed up, looking very aggressive. Thankfully, the rescued otter stepped in to explain, avoiding a fight. Just as they were about to greet each other, the TV crew found the cave. They had to flee immediately. With the crew closing in, Doraemon pulled out a time warp belt and tossed it behind them. It made them loop back to the same spot no matter how far they ran. Even so, two hunting dogs still gave chase. They scrambled up the rocks, but a young otter slipped. Nobi caught it just in time, but nearly fell himself. Then Nobi spotted a huge platform nearby. He quickly tossed the baby otter onto it, but Nobi lost his balance and fell. An adult otter grabbed him, but soon Nobi slipped again. Doraemon flew down with a gadget and saved him. After Nobi teased Doraemon for not using the gadget sooner, they all reached the platform. They followed it into a strange tunnel. On the other side, they were shocked by what they saw. The place was incredibly beautiful and home to a large group of otters. Meanwhile, the TV crew, having accidentally photographed Doraemon's disguise, thought the kids had mistaken something else for an otter and called off the search. Nobi decided not to send the otters back to the past. These were present-day otters that had escaped here after their habitats were destroyed. After the otters thanked Nobi, he and Doraemon left, vowing to keep the place a secret forever. SpongeBob took a patty out of the freezer. He was about to make a delicious Krabby Patty. He noticed the frying pan was covered in greasy grime, so he started cleaning it right away. Squidward poked his head in. SpongeBob accidentally wiped grime all over his face. Once he finished cleaning, SpongeBob stuck the cleaning tools back onto his tongue. He then went to grab the patty. He slipped on the water on the floor. He slid all the way from the kitchen to the dining area and back. He realized the sink was clogged. SpongeBob leaned over to check inside the sink. He found the stopper was still in place. Just as he was about to pull it out, Mr. Krabs stopped him suddenly. SpongeBob got a big fright. He tried to explain himself. Mr. Krabs turned off the lights. He began to tell them a scary story about the sink stopper. Long ago, two kids were playing around in the ocean. They stumbled upon a huge strange stopper. Out of curiosity, they pulled the stopper out. They got sucked in immediately. A powerful suction swept across Bikini Bottom and the entire ocean. Every sea creature was pulled into it. No one was ever seen again after that. When the story ended, SpongeBob asked where the stopper was. Mr. Krabs tried hard to hide the truth. He quickly chased SpongeBob and Patrick out of the restaurant. The two of them were full of curiosity. They decided to go look for the stopper right away. They first tried to make a bubble car to travel. The bubble popped before they even set off. They blew several huge bubbles instead. They tied the bubbles to Patrick's house and headed out. The bubbles burst halfway through the flight. The two fell hard to the ground. They landed right on top of Squidward. They felt frustrated about what had happened. Patrick suddenly came up with an idea. He ran ahead and bit down on a rope. He pulled his house along with SpongeBob inside. Squidward was left flattened on the ground. They hadn't walked far when Patrick bumped into something odd. They looked up and saw the stopper from the story. Patrick reached out to pull it and test if the story was real. Mr. Krabs showed up just in time to stop him. It turned out the two kids in the story were young Mr. Krabs and Plankton. Patrick was relieved he hadn't pulled the stopper yet. He wiped sweat from his face casually. He accidentally tugged the stopper free. In an instant, everyone was pulled into the suction. Bikini Bottom was swallowed by the whirlpool and vanished completely. Patrick jolted awake all of a sudden. It was just a terrible nightmare. SpongeBob had been telling him a bedtime story beside him. To help Nobita focus, Doraemon blew a bubble that wrapped around him. All the surrounding noises vanished in an instant. He could only see his homework problems clearly. He did not even hear his mom walk into the room. Mom came in planning to scold Nobita, but she found him studying earnestly instead. Neither Doraemon trying to distract him with comic books, nor his mom tempting him with food, could get any reaction out of Nobita. Shortly after Mom left feeling relieved, Doraemon popped the bubble. Nobita snapped back to reality right away. He was utterly surprised and delighted when he saw his finished homework. Just as Nobita was about to celebrate with Doraemon, Dorami suddenly called Doraemon back to the future in a hurry. Doraemon left in such a rush that he accidentally left behind the bubble potion. Seeing this, Nobita immediately decided to make good use of this new gadget. Meanwhile, Nobita's dad was digging a hole in the yard to plant a tree. He kept getting distracted because he was worn out. Nobita quickly blew a bubble and covered his dad with it. Dad suddenly felt full of energy and started digging the soil with great enthusiasm. Encouraged, Nobita went off to find someone else to help. He then ran into John and Sunio unexpectedly. Nobita tripped and fell while running away. Just as John grabbed him by the collar, all three of them suddenly noticed a group of ants on the ground. While the two boys were distracted by the line of ants, Nobita quickly blew bubbles to trap them. He then hurried to leave the spot. He headed to Shizuka's house along the way. After Nobita told Shizuka how amazing the bubble gadget was, she thought of a sweater she had been knitting for ages but never finished. Once she brought the sweater out, Nobita put a bubble around her right away. In the blink blink of an eye. All she could see was the yarn and knitting needles. After helping Shizuka, Nobita could not stop using the gadget. He saw a little girl practicing the piano, and casually put a bubble helmet over her. A cook could not focus on chopping vegetables, so Nobita used the bubble to help him concentrate on his work. He even came across a cartoonist stuck for ideas, and put a bubble around him too. The cartoonist soon got flooded with creative thoughts. As evening fell, Doraemon ran into Nobita, who had come back after playing around. Spotting the bubble potion in Nobita's hand, he asked anxiously at once if all the bubbles he had used had been popped. When he learned that they had not, Doraemon quickly explained that these protective bubbles had to be removed right away. Otherwise, anyone trapped inside would keep repeating the same action forever. Nobita panicked instantly and rushed back with Doraemon to check on everyone. They found the little girl still playing the piano non-stop. The cook had chopped cabbages all over the room, though the cartoonist had countless new ideas. He never picked up a pen to write them down. The bubble only sharpened his thinking, but did not push him to take action. Shizuka kept knitting the sweater without pause, and had no desire to stop at all. John and Sunio still stood there staring blankly. The ants had long gone back to their nest to rest, yet they never took their eyes off the ground. Doraemon used a needle to pop their bubbles. The two boys kept busy until late at night, before they suddenly remembered they had completely forgotten about their dad at home. They hurried back home as fast as they could, and found that their dad had dug an extremely deep hole. Dad kept digging until he hit the house's foundation. The house began to sink, throwing everything into chaos. A falling stone popped his bubble, and he finally came to his senses. This man turns himself in at the police station after every 100 murders. He does not go there to plead guilty. He simply finds the prison beds far more comfortable to sleep in. Once he has had his fill of rest, he smashes the cell door open without hesitation. Then he struts out of the prison freely, and sets off to hunt for new victims. The police are completely powerless against him. 30 years ago, they even tried to kill him with a nuclear bomb. Against all odds, he survived the blast. He even planned to kill Lupin as a declaration of his return. Fearing for their lives, Jigen immediately fought back, yet Hawk blocked every single bullet with just a single axe. Even the ultimate technique of Goemon was casually caught between Hawk's two fingers. Goemon was then sent flying with one single strike. Lupin rushed over just in time to save Goemon. Still, the swordsman's pride was utterly shattered. This pain hurt him far more than death itself. Afterwards, Goemon retreated deep into the mountains alone. He stripped all ornate decorations from his sword. He resolved to start his training all over again from scratch. Nevertheless, the terror of having his signature move caught haunted him endlessly. Even as the shark's teeth pierced his body, he could not bring himself to draw his sword. Whether he built up his stamina amid raging flames, or toughened his resolve beneath crashing waterfalls, Hawk's terrifying figure lingered in his mind non-stop. He never once managed to draw his blade. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Goemon's employer finally tracked him down. Upon learning that Goemon had failed to defeat Hawk, the man decided he was no longer useful. He ordered his men to knock Goemon to the ground at once, and instructed them to finish him off. As the thugs stood over the motionless Goemon, the looming threat of death suddenly awakened his hidden potential. He could clearly foresee every move his attackers were about to make. With his strength reawakened, Goemon regained his fighting spirit at last. The moment one brute raised an iron rod to strike him, Goemon drew his sword in the blink of an eye. He darted through the crowd like a bolt of lightning. With his peerless sword skills and the ability to see the future, he left every foe in his path badly wounded. However, he chose not to evade his employer's attack, accepting it as punishment for failing his mission. He then drew his sword once more, cutting through the man's gun barrel and his hair alike, putting an end to their conflict. From that moment on, Goemon had only one goal left: to defeat Hawk and reclaim his lost dignity.